Welcome back to today's episode of Aman's Unfiltered. Today I'm diving into a topic that has persisted through generations yet remains deeply controversial. Dowry. In this episode, I want to explore how this practice has shaped marriages, communities, and cultural expectations from the traditions in India and honestly to our very own community. Before I move on with the episode, I want to let you guys know that I was approached and requested to address this issue, and I too believe very deeply on the evolution of dowry, and I'm hoping that this individual will be more than happy to come on and help us shed some light and share hers or his thoughts. Now, let's dive into this a bit deeper. The concept of dowry dates back centuries. Originally, it was intended as a form of security for the bride, a way for her to maintain her financial independence in her new family. However, what was meant to be a safeguard has evolved into something far more problematic. Now, in many cases, it's not just about gifts and money. It's about fulfilling demands from the groom's family, often placing undue financial burden on the bride's family. Consider this as an example. In many Indian communities, right, it's still common for the boy's family to request substantial sums of money, property, jewelry, luxury items from the girl's family. These demands often go beyond cultural norms and are framed as necessary for the marriage to proceed. Sadly, these requests can put families under tremendous financial strain, sometimes leading to severe consequences, including debt, mental health issues, and in the worst cases, domestic violence. Now, the dowry system is deeply embedded in Indian marriage customs, particularly in the give and take ceremonies, and how we say it is basically len-den. These ceremonies are supposed to symbolize the exchange of goodwill and blessings between families. But somehow, over time, they've become more about the exchange of material goods. Traditionally, gifts would include practical items to help the newlyweds set up their home. Things such as furniture, household items, maybe some jewelry here and there. However, this practice has sort of escalated to a point where the value of these gifts have become a status symbol, leading to families feeling obligated to outdo each other, often at great personal cost. What was once a mutual gesture of goodwill has turned into a transactional process. It's kind of like overshadowing the true essence of marriage, to come think about it. Now, moving beyond India, let's just look at our own community here in Thailand. Even here, where our values promote equality and fairness, the dowry system has taken its root. Despite the diaspora's distance from India, the dowry tradition still persists, with families offering large sums of money and expensive gifts to secure a favorable match. The practice, while culturally adapted to the local context, continues to echo the same issues seen in India. Financial pressure on the bride's family and a transactional view of marriage. For example, let's be bold and say it out loud, right? We have this ceremony in our community called Milni, where somehow the groom's family is asked by the bride's family for a list of immediate relatives. This is because the bride's families prepare a gold chain for every one of this relative on this list and they give it during this ceremony. It's another form of land, Dane, but then there is no land, there's only Dane. Because when you give a gold chain to the boy's family, they just give a garland of flowers back to the bride's family. Some practice this till date, and there are some who I believe don't anymore. But majority of them, I believe, still do. So it's clear that the dowry system is really outdated, guys. It is a negative impact, far outweigh any cultural significance it might really hold. So why hasn't it ended yet? The answer lies in tradition, societal pressure, and the fear of breaking away from cultural norms. But I strongly believe it's time for this change to happen. The current generation, those of us who are getting married now, or will see our children get married soon, I think need to take a stand to change certain norms. Ending the dowry system does require collective effort, right? It means refusing to give into demands, speaking out against the practice, and educating the next generation about the importance of equality in marriage. The change has to start somewhere, and there's no better time than now. Marriage should be a blissful union of two families built on love, respect, and mutual support. So what happened to this ideal? How did we go from celebrating the coming together of two souls, two families, to negotiating the terms of a transaction? The dowry system has turned what should be a joyful occasion into a stressful, often burdensome process. I say let's bring the focus back to what really matters: the relationship between the bride and groom, the support of their families, and the start of a new chapter in all their lives. It's time to move away from dowry and towards a future where marriage is truly a celebration of love. Now, as we wrap up today's episode, I encourage all of us to reflect on the role we play in perpetuating or challenging the dowry system. I understand, guys, change doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with small, conscious decisions. I say let's work together to ensure that the next generation sees marriage not as a financial transaction, but as a beautiful union it was always meant to be. Thank you for joining me today on this episode. If you have thoughts or experiences you'd like to share, please reach out. And the person who emailed me, who requested me to talk about this, I would love it if you could come on to my show and let's dive into this deeper. Let's continue to question, reflect, and push for a change. This is Aman, your host.